The war had ended, or at least that's what the silence seemed to say. After 7 long years of fire and blood, the skies above Earth were finally quiet. No plasma storms, no alien fleets, only the faint glow of broken ships falling from orbit like dying stars. Elias Ward sat alone on the cracked hull of a fallen Zarin cruiser, staring at the horizon. His once blue uniform was black with ash and blood. He had fought until his rifle melted, until the air itself burned his lungs. Now there was nothing left to fight, only ghosts. He watched the smoke rising from what used to be a city. There were no cheers, no victory songs. Humanity had won, but at a cost so high it didn't feel like victory. The war had taken everything. His friends, his family, even the sound of laughter. A cold wind brushed against his face. He shivered and looked up. The stars were bright tonight, shining like they were finally free to be seen again. Somewhere among them was the Zarin homeworld, a world he had been trained to hate. But now, staring at those distant lights, Elias only felt tired. He spoke softly to the night. "We made it. Somehow." His voice cracked. "We actually made it." He picked up a small metal locket that hung from his neck. Inside was a photo, 2 faces smiling in the sunlight. His younger sister and himself. She had been taken in the first invasion. He never found her. He closed the locket and whispered, "I hope you're safe, wherever you are." His body ached. His heart felt heavier than the armor on his chest. He crawled back inside the wreckage of the alien ship for shelter. The metal walls were scorched, glowing faintly with dying energy. It was warm inside, humming softly like a heartbeat. Elias didn't care that it once belonged to the enemy. Tonight it was just a place to rest. He laid down on a broken piece of metal plating, folded his jacket for a pillow, and exhaled a long, shaking breath. The war was over. Maybe tomorrow he would start looking for other survivors. But for now, he just wanted sleep. Real, dreamless sleep. "I just want one peaceful night," he murmured, closing his eyes. The hum of the ship faded as the power cores went silent. The night deepened and his breathing slowed. Somewhere beyond the stars, something shimmered, something ancient and powerful, drawn by the faint pulse of life within that broken ship. When morning came, the first rays of sunlight crept through the cracks of the hull. Elias stirred. His body felt strangely warm, softer than it should have. His fingers brushed against something smooth, something alive. His eyes opened slowly, and then his heart nearly stopped. A woman was lying in his arms. At first he thought he was still dreaming. Her skin glowed faintly silver like moonlight captured in flesh. Her hair floated gently, dark as the void between stars. She was breathing softly, her head resting against his chest, one hand placed over his heart, as if listening to it. Elias froze. Every part of him screamed to move, to pull away, but his body refused. There was something peaceful about her, something fragile beneath that alien beauty. He recognized her face. He had seen it before on war posters and battle briefings, on every broadcast that warned humans to run. It was her. The Zarin Empress, the ruler of the enemy empire, the most powerful being in the galaxy, the one whose fleets had destroyed whole worlds. And somehow she was sleeping in his arms like a lost soul seeking warmth. Elias didn't move. He didn't dare. His heart pounded so loud he feared it would wake her. What are you doing here?" he whispered shakily, but she didn't answer. She only breathed softly as if at peace for the first time in forever. He stared at her, not with anger, but confusion. The war had ended. So why was its queen now lying beside him? Alive, unguarded, and holding on to him like he was the last safe place in the universe. He didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. The real story hadn't even started. Elias didn't move for a long time. He just stared at the alien woman lying against him, her silver skin glowing softly in the dim morning light. It was like holding a dream made of starlight, something too beautiful, too strange, too dangerous to be real. Every part of his training told him to pull away, to grab his weapon, to run. But something deeper, quieter kept him still. She wasn't attacking him. She wasn't even awake. She was just resting, like a tired soul who had finally found peace. His voice trembled. "You shouldn't be here." As if hearing him, her eyes fluttered open. Elias froze. Her eyes were nothing like human eyes. They shimmered like galaxies, swirling with silver and violet light. For a moment she looked lost, disoriented, almost frightened. Then her gaze met his, and everything stopped. The silence between them felt heavy, fragile, like the pause before a storm. "Human," she whispered, her voice soft but echoing like a melody in his mind. "Where am I?" Her words weren't spoken through her lips, they echoed directly into his thoughts. Elias flinched, his hand instinctively moving to his sidearm, but it wasn't there. He had dropped it last night. "You're on Earth?" he said quietly. "Or what's left of it." Her expression changed. Sadness, confusion, and something deeper, something that looked almost human. She tried to sit up, but her body trembled. She was weak. Elias saw faint wounds along her arms and chest, glowing faintly with blue energy. He hesitated, then moved closer, helping her sit up. "Careful," he murmured. "You're hurt." Her gaze studied him like she couldn't understand why he was helping her. "Yous are human. Why assist me? Your kind hates mine." Elias gave a faint, tired smile. "I'm done hating. The war's over. I don't even know why you're here." She looked down at her hands, her fingers trembling. "I do not know either. I remember light and fire. My fleet was lost. My body is broken." And then darkness, her voice softened. "But I felt something warm, something alive, and I followed it." Her eyes met his again. "It was you." Elias blinked, confused. "Me? Why?" "I felt your heart calling," she said, her tone almost like a confession. It was full of sorrow, but still alive. "I was drawn to it." He didn't know what to say. It made no sense. The Empress of the Zarin, the woman who had commanded armies, was now sitting beside him like a lost child following a whisper in the dark. "Maybe fate wanted to play a cruel joke," Elias said quietly. She tilted her head slightly. "Fate," she repeated as if tasting the word. "Humans still believe in such things." He shrugged. "After everything I've seen, I'm not sure what I believe in anymore." For a long moment they sat in silence, listening to the faint wind moving through the broken hull. She seemed to be studying him, not as an enemy but as something new, something she didn't understand. Then suddenly her expression darkened. "Your soldiers will come," she said coldly. "They will kill me. That is what humans do." Elias looked away, guilt flickering across his face. She wasn't wrong. If the others found her here, she wouldn't live long enough to explain anything. "Then I won't let them find you," he said quietly. The Empress looked startled. "You would protect me? Even knowing who I am?" He nodded. "Because I've seen enough death. And maybe because I think you're not as heartless as they said." For the first time she didn't reply. Her eyes softened. There was a silence, warm and strange, between them. The Empress leaned back slightly, her breathing slowing again. "You are strange, human," she murmured. "Your heart feels loud." Elias smiled faintly. "Yeah, I get that a lot." Her head tilted. And for the briefest moment, her lips curved into something small and almost human. A smile. And as the light of the morning deepened, Elias realized something impossible had happened. The war was over. But maybe something new had just begun, something fragile, something human. The sun climbed higher, painting the sky in soft gold. The broken ship shimmered faintly under the light, its metal still warm from the fires of yesterday. Elias stood outside the wreck, scanning the horizon with tired eyes. The Empress was still inside, resting where he had left her. Her strength was slowly returning, though her body still trembled with weakness. Elias wasn't sure what she needed to survive: food, energy, or something else entirely. But he knew one thing: if any patrols found her here, she'd be dead before she could speak. He picked up his rifle and checked the ammo, only 3 shots left. It wouldn't stop a squad, let alone an army, but it was all he had. Inside the wreck, the Empress stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly with that strange silver light. She saw him standing by the entrance, his figure framed by the morning sun. "You have been watching the sky for hours," she said softly. "What do you fear?" Elias turned toward her. "Not fear," he said quietly. "Just expecting trouble. My people don't take kindly to aliens, especially ones like you." She tilted her head. "And yet you protect me," he sighed, lowering his rifle. "Maybe I'm just tired of losing people. Maybe I don't want to see another living being die, even if she used to be my enemy." The Empress looked at him for a long time, her expression unreadable. "You are unlike any human I have known," she said finally. "Your kind fought with fire. You destroy what you do not understand. But you—" Her voice softened. You pity even those who tried to kill you. Elias gave a small, sad smile. That's not pity. It's mercy. And maybe mercy is the only thing we have left. A soft silence filled the air between them. Dust drifted through the golden light like floating stars. Then a faint sound broke the calm. A distant hum, mechanical and sharp. Elias froze. He knew that sound. A human scout drone. He rushed to the opening and looked up. A small silver sphere was moving through the clouds, scanning the ground. Damn it, he whispered. They're searching for survivors. The Empress stood weakly, her hand clutching the wall. If they find me, they won't, Elias said quickly. He grabbed a tattered blanket and threw it over her, motioning for her to stay low. Don't move! Don't make a sound. He stepped outside, pretending to check the wreck like any other scavenger. The drone hovered above, scanning him with a beam of blue light. A voice crackled from its speaker. Identify yourself. Sergeant Elias Ward, he said, standing tall. Survivor of the Western Front. Confirmed, the voice replied. Any alien presence detected in your area? Elias hesitated. His heart pounded. He glanced back at the ship where the Empress hid just beyond sight. No, he said firmly. Just me. No hostiles here. The drone hovered for a few seconds more, then turned away, gliding toward the horizon. Elias exhaled slowly, his hands shaking. He went back inside. The Empress was standing now, watching him. You lied for me, she said softly. Yeah, he muttered, leaning against the wall. Guess I did. Why? Her voice trembled. You risked your life. He looked at her, really looked at her. The faint scars on her face, the sadness in her eyes, the exhaustion she hid behind her pride. Because I think you're more than what they said. Because I saw how you looked at the stars this morning. You weren't a conqueror then. You were just lost. Something in her gaze broke. She looked away, her voice faint. Perhaps I am. Elias took a step closer. Then stay hidden. I'll get you food, water, whatever you need. Just don't let anyone see you. The Empress hesitated. And if they find me? He met her eyes. Then they'll have to go through me first. For a long time, she said nothing. Then slowly she nodded. You are either very brave or very foolish, human. He smiled faintly. Probably both. Outside, the wind picked up, carrying the scent of dust and burnt metal. Inside the wreck, two enemies sat together in fragile silence. And though neither would admit it, something small but real began to grow between them, something that had nothing to do with war, and everything to do with being alive. Days passed quietly. The sun rose and fell over the shattered horizon, and the wind carried the scent of ash and life reborn. Inside the wreck, time felt slower, gentler. Elias had found some old ration packs and water from a ruined outpost nearby. It wasn't much, but it kept them both alive. The Empress was healing slowly. The glowing lines along her skin dimmed with each day, her strength returning. But her eyes, those silver, star-filled eyes, still carried a weight heavier than any wound. Elias often caught her staring at the sky through a crack in the ship's ceiling. She would sit in silence for hours, lost in thought. One evening, as the last light faded, he asked softly, You miss your world, don't you? She didn't look at him. It was never truly my world, she said. It belonged to my ancestors. I only inherited their wars, he frowned. Wars? She nodded slowly. The Zarin Empire was built on strength. Every ruler before me believed peace was weakness. When I became Empress, I tried to change that. I sent messages to your leaders, offers of alliance. Her voice broke slightly. They fired missiles instead. Elias's heart sank. We thought it was a trap. She turned to him, her eyes shimmering faintly. Perhaps it was. Both sides were blind with fear. The silence that followed was painful. Elias looked down at his hands. They were scarred, burned, stained with years of battle. We killed each other because we were scared, he said quietly. Maybe that's the only truth of war. She studied him for a long moment. And yet you saved me, he smiled weakly. Maybe I'm just trying to fix one small piece of the mess I helped create. For a moment, the Empress's face softened. Then she looked away, her voice low. You cannot fix the past, human, but perhaps you can heal what remains. Elias didn't know what to say. Her words felt heavy, almost prophetic. That night, the wind howled through the ruins, carrying strange sounds, metal clanking, boots on stone. Elias sat up instantly, reaching for his rifle. The Empress felt it too. Her silver eyes glowed faintly. "They are coming," she whispered. He moved to the edge of the wreck, peering out. In the distance he saw flickers of movement, flashlights, voices, the distinct pattern of human soldiers. "A search team. Damn," he muttered. "They're sweeping this whole area." The Empress's tone turned cold. "Leave me. If they find you with me, they will kill you too." He turned to her sharply. "I'm not leaving you," her voice rose, sharp with fear. "You cannot protect me against an army." Elias's eyes burned with determination. "Maybe not, but I won't let them take you." For a moment they just stared at each other. Her expression softened. She could feel his heart. Steady, stubborn, full of that strange human fire that terrified and fascinated her. "You are a fool," she whispered. "Maybe," he said with a faint smile. "But I'm your fool now." She looked down, her voice barely a breath. "Why do you care?" He hesitated. The truth came out quietly. "Because when I look at you, I don't see the Empress who burned our skies. I see someone just as lost as I am." Her eyes glimmered with emotion. For the first time since he had met her, she looked fragile, not as a ruler, not as a warrior, but as a woman who carried too much pain. The sounds outside grew louder, voices calling, scanners buzzing. Elias checked his rifle and took a deep breath. "Stay hidden," he said. "I'll handle them." The Empress reached out, her hand trembling. "Elias, if you die because of me," he smiled faintly, "then at least it'll mean something." Her fingers brushed his wrist just for a second, but that touch felt like lightning and sorrow all at once. As he stepped into the fading light, the Empress closed her eyes and whispered in her ancient language, a prayer for the first human she had ever learned to trust. Outside, the soldiers approached, unaware that the future of two worlds was about to change forever. Night was silent but tense. The glow of human searchlights danced across the ruins. Cutting through the dust and smoke, Elias crouched behind a fallen wall, his rifle pressed to his chest. The Empress was hidden deep inside the wreck, waiting. He could still feel her presence, like a heartbeat calling to him through the darkness. The soldiers were close now. Their boots crunched over the broken ground. "Check the wreck," one of them shouted. Scanners picked up strange readings here. Elias's pulse quickened. He gritted his teeth and whispered to himself, "Not today." 3 soldiers approached the ship's entrance, rifles raised. Elias took a deep breath, aimed carefully, and fired a warning shot. The plasma round struck a rock near their feet, scattering sparks. "Hold it right there," he yelled. The soldiers turned, weapons ready. "Identify yourself." "It's Sergeant Elias Ward," he called out. "This wreck is unstable. Don't come closer." But they didn't stop. One of them raised his scanner. "Sir, we've got an anomaly reading inside that ship." "It's alive." Elias's stomach dropped. He aimed again. "I said don't move." A burst of blue light shot past him, a return shot. The blast hit the wall beside him, showering him with debris. The air filled with smoke and the sharp scent of burning metal. Elias ducked and returned fire. 2 of the soldiers fell back, shouting for backup. He knew it was over. In a few minutes there would be more. He turned toward the wreck. "Go!" he shouted. "Run," but the Empress didn't run. She stepped out from the shadows, her silver eyes glowing brighter than ever. "You will die if you stay," she said, her voice trembling with power. Elias shook his head. "Then I'll die doing something right." Before he could stop her, she raised her hand. The air around her shimmered. Energy pulsed from her skin, bending the light. The ground itself seemed to hum. The soldiers stopped in their tracks, staring in awe and fear. "What the hell is that?" one whispered. Elias turned toward her, eyes wide. "Don't." A flash erupted. A wave of light exploded outward, knocking everyone off their feet. The air trembled. When the dust settled, the soldiers lay unconscious, their weapons melted into the ground. Elias struggled to stand, his ears ringing. "What did you—" She swayed on her feet, her glow fading. "It was the only way," she whispered weakly. "I did not kill them. I only silenced their hate for a moment." Her knees gave way. Elias caught her before she hit the ground. Her skin was cold now, the light fading from her veins. "Hey, stay with me," he said, panic in his voice. She opened her eyes slowly. "You protected me," she murmured. "Now it's my turn," he shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." Her gaze softened. "You are wrong, human. You gave me something no one else ever did." "What's that?" he asked, voice breaking. "Hope." The word hit him harder than any blast. He pulled her closer, trying to warm her as the wind howled through the ruins. "You're going to be fine," he whispered, though he wasn't sure he believed it. Her hand reached up weakly, brushing his face. "Your people will come soon. They will find you. When they do, tell them I am gone." Elias stared at her, horrified. "No, I'm not letting you die here." A faint smile touched her lips. "I am not dying, Elias. I am becoming something else." Light began to bloom from her chest, soft, pure, and warm. It spread through the air, wrapping them both in a gentle glow. "Close your eyes," she whispered. He wanted to speak, to ask what was happening, but the light grew too bright. It surrounded him, soft as a dream, warm as a heartbeat. And then everything went silent. When Elias opened his eyes again, the wreck was empty. The Empress was gone, no body, no trace, only a faint shimmer of silver dust floating in the air, glowing softly like starlight. He fell to his knees, the wind cold against his face. For the first time since the war began, Elias cried, not out of fear but out of loss, and something deeper. Because somehow in the ruins of two broken worlds he had found something worth dying for. And now she was gone. The ruins were quiet again. The air smelled of ash and metal, but the light that had burst moments ago was gone. Elias knelt among the broken stones, his hands trembling. The place where the Empress had stood was now empty, covered only by faint silver dust that glowed softly in the morning light. He touched the ground where she had been, his heart aching. It didn't feel real. One moment she was there, warm, alive, radiant, and the next she was gone. Like a dream that faded the moment you tried to hold it. "Where did you go?" he whispered. "Why did you leave?" No answer came, only the whisper of the wind passing through the wreck. He sat there for a long time, head bowed, trying to understand. The soldiers were still lying unconscious nearby, unharmed but silent. She had spared them, even when she had the power to destroy them. That was who she truly was, not the monster humanity had feared, but something far greater. As the sun climbed higher, Elias finally stood. He felt weak, empty, but a strange calm filled him. He looked around the wreck, searching for any sign of her, anything she might have left behind. And then he saw it. Near the spot where she had vanished, the metal floor had melted into a smooth, glass-like surface. Embedded in the center was a small crystal, glowing faintly silver. It pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Elias picked it up carefully. The moment his fingers touched it, a soft voice echoed in his mind. "Elias." He froze. It was her voice, gentle, calm, filled with that same warmth he'd come to know. "I am sorry I had to leave." Her voice continued. "My power was fading. The blast I released burned what remained of me, but I did not want you to grieve. I wanted you to understand." Elias's breath caught in his throat. "Understand what?" he whispered, even though she couldn't hear him. "The war was never between our people," the message said. "It was between fear and trust, between light and the shadows we carry inside. You showed me that even in the darkest hearts there can be kindness." He felt his chest tighten. The crystal's glow grew brighter, illuminating the dust around him. "I used my remaining strength to hide myself beyond your world," her voice went on. "Not to escape, but to begin again, to heal what was broken. But my connection to you will remain as long as you remember me." Tears welled in Elias's eyes. He sank to his knees again, holding the crystal close. "I'll never forget you," he whispered. There was a pause, and then her voice softened like a whisper carried on wind. "Elias, do not let your world forget what mercy feels like. You showed me that humans are more than war. You gave me faith in your kind." The light in the crystal began to fade. Her final words echoed softly, tenderly. "Live well, human." For me, then silence. The glow vanished, leaving only the faint shimmer of silver dust in his palm. Elias closed his hand around it, holding it to his chest. His tears fell quietly, disappearing into the cracked earth. Hours later, when the soldiers woke, they found him sitting beside the wreck, staring at the horizon. They asked what had happened.
He didn't tell them the truth.
He simply said, "The alien threat is gone." But deep inside he knew she wasn't gone. She was somewhere beyond the stars, watching. In the days that followed, Elias left the army. He wandered through the ruins of Earth, helping rebuild what was broken. He carried the silver crystal everywhere he went, keeping it close to his heart. Sometimes at night, when the sky was clear, he would see a faint streak of silver light moving among the stars, and in that moment he always smiled, because he knew it was her, the Empress, the woman who had once been his enemy, and became something far more years past. The world changed. The fires of war faded into memories told by survivors and whispered through old ruins. Humanity rebuilt brick by brick, heart by heart. Cities rose again, cleaner and quieter than before. The skies cleared and peace, real peace, finally took root. Elias Ward lived a quiet life far from the noise of command. He settled near the edge of an old forest where the stars could still be seen without the glare of cities. His hair had turned gray, his hands lined with scars, but his eyes, those same tired eyes, still held that spark of warmth that had once saved an alien queen. Every night, he sat outside his small cabin and looked at the sky, and every night he held the silver crystal in his hand, the one that still glowed faintly with her light. Sometimes he could swear it pulsed with his heartbeat, as if responding to his thoughts. People in the village called him the Star Keeper. They said he watched the heavens for a lost love. He never denied it. He only smiled softly and said, "Some stars never die. They just wait to be seen again." But on one quiet evening, something changed. The air grew still. The forest hushed as if the world was holding its breath. Elias looked up and saw a streak of silver cut across the sky. It wasn't a shooting star. It was brighter, slower, deliberate. It curved downward, descending toward the far hills. His heart skipped. The crystal in his hand began to glow brighter than ever before. It was calling. He stood quickly, his heart racing like it hadn't in years. Without thinking, he followed the light. His boots crushed the grass, his breath sharp in the cool night air. The glow ahead grew stronger until it filled the sky. At last he reached a wide field bathed in silver radiance. The ground shimmered, and from the light, a figure began to take shape, soft, glowing. Familiar, it was her. The Empress stood before him, her silver hair flowing like liquid moonlight, her eyes gentle and alive. She looked exactly as he remembered, only now there was no crown, no armor, no pain. Just peace. Elias froze, unable to speak. "Is it really you?" he whispered. She smiled, and the stars seemed to shine brighter around her. "You never stopped watching the sky," she said softly. Even after all this time, his voice broke. "I thought you were gone forever." "I was," she said. "But your world healed, and so did mine. When peace returned, the energy that once tore us apart brought me back." He took a shaky breath, tears glimmering in his eyes. "I kept your message. I did what you asked. I lived." "I know," she said gently, stepping closer. "I felt it. Every time you looked at the stars, I heard your heart." He laughed weakly through his tears. "You always were dramatic," she smiled, a real warm smile. "And you, Elias Ward, were always too human for your own good." They stood there for a long moment, the air quiet except for the soft hum of the crystal still glowing between them. She reached out her hand, and he hesitated only a moment before taking it. Her touch was warm. Real. "I cannot stay long," she whispered, "but I came to give you one last truth." He looked at her, his heart trembling. "What truth?" "That love," she said, "is not bound by worlds or time or even death. It is the only force that survives everything." A tear rolled down his cheek. "I never stopped missing you." "And I," she said softly, "never stopped finding you." The light around her began to fade slowly, but she didn't let go. "When the stars call you, follow them," she whispered. "We will meet again beyond the edge of light." And with that she stepped back, her form dissolving into pure radiance. The crystal in his hand shone one last time, then melted into his skin, leaving behind a faint silver mark that pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Elias looked up, smiling through his tears. The stars above shimmered brighter than ever before. He whispered into the night, "I'll see you again, my Empress." And for a moment, just a breath of eternity, he saw her smile among the stars. The war was long forgotten, but their story was not. It became a legend told across generations of the soldier who loved the alien queen and the light that never died. Because sometimes, even in a vast, silent universe, love is what makes us truly human.